Yeah, the results are coming in, ladies and gentlemen. No monologue needed for the evening because this is our special election episode. Please share this out there. We are going to be chit-chatting about what we predict on the evening, what we predict on the night, what we've been talking about, issues in Arizona. We are going to have some non-election topics. I would really like to I beat a dead horse. No offense to, Barb, because, we all have horses. But I would like to talk further kind of about what's going on with Kyrie and Kanye West, because apparently I am half Jewish, and I'm being called an anti-Semite because I think there is a thing called freedom of speech left in this country. But hey, screw that. Anyways, Casey, what's going on in your world?
Not much. Just love watching the disaster that's going on right now. But it's good. It's good.
Are you going to tell everybody about your cat that you misgendered?
Yeah. No, it's self-identified as a non-binary.
Does everybody remember when Casey got a brand new kitten several months ago? And he just found out that it's not a boy, it's a girl.
Uh-huh. And then it's in heat now, right? So
yes, and it's really obnoxious.
How's that even possible?
Yes.
Anyways, numbers are going up, guys. Continue to share. We had like a weird boost to 70, then it dropped to 50. I don't know what's going on. So keep sharing it out. Let's we'll also engage with some comments and some questions on this one.
It's obviously like the voting machines. It goes up and down.
Yeah, like strippers' booties go. Dave, Barb, welcome back. Good to see your face.
I know you missed me, didn't you? You had no one to kick out of the show.
You were very smart, Barb, by not being on your own screen, because now I can't drop you. Because if I drop you, I have to drop Dave at the same time. That's strategery right there.
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Boys got to.
Barb is okay. You just can't drop me. I'm a nice guy.
Dave, what's going on in your world? Did you miss the missus while she was gone?
I did miss the missus. Barb, why don't you share with everyone what you actually did? It's actually pretty cool.
I'm kind of a big deal now.
Yeah.
No, but kidding aside, I had such an amazing opportunity last week to be in the video. I was cast as a Gold Star mom in the video of this beautiful, powerful song by Shannon Book. He is a Marine Corps veteran, a doctor, a medic in the Marine Corps. And he has this crazy voice. And he wrote this song called Dear Mom a while back. And he is now this is a dream of his. And Chris Martini directed and was producing this video for it. And I got to be cast as the Gold Star mom in it, which was awful and terrible and terrifying and amazing at the same time. So that's where I was last week in San Antonio, Texas, shooting this video with a bunch of people that are just amazing, just great people. So that's where I was.
Yeah, so that's super cool.
Good stuff. All right, so here's the deal, guys. We're not going to do any ads except for the clothes. If you'd like to check out our gear, go to awakenotwokestore.com. Use Awake for 15% off. At the end of this episode, which will be a little less than an hour, we will then, if we have earned your viewership for the hour that we have here on election night, then we'll tell you a little bit about what we got going on, how you can support us and support yourself. So with that said, are you guys ready to kick the tires, light the fires, and get this episode started?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, let's get your Kanye talk over with first.
Right?
That's right, ladies and gents, episode 113. It is Truth Tuesday, and it falls on election night. I don't know if you guys saw in the back, but I was getting excited. It's like a pundit Super Bowl is what I called it on radio. I've been doing radio interviews all day, talking about the election. But before we get into what's going on, as Barb is currently watching Vermont, like she thinks that it's going to miraculously flip red all of a sudden. While
I'm watching Georgia ass lips, and
ass lips.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
what
it.
came to mind when I looked at you. So go ahead.
We're seeing a lot of people jump in. Please, guys, tell us where you're from. Say hello. More comments, the merrier. I apparently got 2 strikes on different platforms today from things that are old. I shared a post from Dave. I'm going to go and block my own camera. I shared a post from Dave on October 31st that they gave me a ding on because it had misinformation. This is what, to me, is somebody that speaks for a living. What is on the ballot today was freedom of speech, because if we manage to get a red House and a red Senate, we can possibly start just balancing things back on big tech. But that's my biggest thing on the ballot. Let's actually, before we go to Kanye and Kyrie, what is your number one voting issue on this election cycle? Go ahead and put it in the comment box, and then we'll start with Barb and Dave.
Get hun. What's your number one issue?
My number one issue, I think that's twofold. I thought Casey was doing it first. But borders are huge for me. Borders and energy, those are like the top things for me. I don't understand how the borders are the way they are. And I'm going to go ahead and say election integrity as well, but I don't know what we could do about that. But
Valid.
but you know,
huge deal
borders, election integrity, and energy are 1, 2, 3 for me.
Awesome. What about you, Dave?
Energy is number one, because I think if we focus on domestic energy production, that the economy and the inflation issue will fix itself. Drill baby drill, frack baby frack, and innovate as much as physically possible so we can export as much as we can to the rest of the world and to our allies. And I think the inflation thing will take care of itself. Immigration is probably second on that list, because you can't have 5 million people across the border since Joe Biden's been in office and have, I think it's up to 700,000 getaways at this point in our country, which is just disgusting, not to mention the fentanyl issue that's going on. And my third play is what the Democrats like to play, and that is the threat of democracy. And my argument is that if you are on the verge of being a socialist communist party, that's the ultimate destroyer of democracy. So those are my 3 issues.
Get that. Casey, how about you?
My biggest one is liberty. Giving everybody in America their rights back to govern themselves. Over the last 2 years, if you have not witnessed what has gone on, our government is very oppressive. It doesn't matter what religion, what color your skin is, any of that. It is imposing its will on all American citizens, no matter what state you're in. Some states are faring off better than others, but we need to focus on giving people back their rights to where they can govern themselves. That is the main thing that I'm looking at.
Yeah, I have to. So just because this is what I've done for however long now, 2 years straight doing these kind of conversations. I think, kind of like Dave said, a lot of these things will fix itself based on more honesty with election integrity, and then of course energy independence. I don't think any of that comes if we lose our First Amendment, and we are looking straight down the barrel of losing that First Amendment. And that's honestly, to me, the biggest issue, because if the Republicans say they do or will do what they say they're going to do, and fight back against big tech, then the election also could fix itself in 2024, where people are getting proper information. You're not going to have situations like Hunter Biden's laptop happen again. You're actually going to be able to use your speech to spread information. People aren't going to be forced to take a jab. Like, all these different things fixed with the First Amendment. And then, of course, we can start talking about, immigration is another one. Without the First Amendment, people don't even know what's happening. So that's part of why that's my biggest thing on the ballot for this election cycle. Anywho, all right, let's talk Kanye and Kyrie. The reason I have to bring this up is even my mother has now decided. Well, even my mother right now thinks that I'm an anti-Semite because she is Jewish. I am half Jewish. Some Jewish people will say that because my mother is Jewish, I am Jewish. I am sorry. Kanye said one thing that was over the line to me. I talked to Eric Konovalov in our Blunt Force discussion, and he even said, aside from the DEF CON thing, not much he said was anti-Semitic. That was a crappy comment. I think you can be canceled by Adidas. That's fine. But like when it starts pulling money from the bank, and then we've just ultimately demonized him, and then Kyrie shared a link of an Amazon book, which Cash read, by the way. I talked to Cash about this book specifically. Is it really questionable and off the walls? Yes. Is it an alternative look at history? Yes. Is it anti-Semitic? Kind of. Like it's just a different way of looking at things. So, anyways, that's my whole thought process is how dare we get to this place where we are literally proving the point of those people that are saying that you can't say Jewish people are in power when you say one comment and you're canceled for saying Jewish people are in power. Anybody want to go?
Yeah, I mean, look, I agree with you. I respect Kyrie for holding his positions and standing his ground from not being vaccinated to pushing back on that reporter to this, and it's really funny because isn't Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, Jewish?
Yes.
So if he has a book on his own platform, but Kyrie shares it with a link, and then the NBA freaks out and they're like, back in line, boy. Like, I don't know, with all the Chinese stuff that's happening and how the NBA is in their markets with the slave labor that's going on there. No one's speaking out about that, but sharing a link is all of a sudden evil and anti-Semitic and everything else when you shared a link from Amazon, who the owner of the company is Jewish. Like it's
I'm doing a double check. There is no information on his history or religion. They're saying he is either Jewish or Catholic, but he has never confirmed he's
okay. Well, it's irrelevant because he has this book that everyone is saying is so bad, and they're selling it on Amazon. Okay, so it's like the link is out there already. It's on Amazon. So him sharing it, like I just don't get it. I think it's like everyone's got their freaking panties in a wad.
And the book, by the way,
probably be canceled for that.
It paints a picture that that racism was fueled by Jewish people. Again, I don't agree with that. But if we're all of a sudden in a country where you can't have a difference in opinion, like, I mean, that is the whole philosophy of agree to disagree. If the book said this is a how-to guide to kill Jews, okay, now we're talking about anti-Semitism and hate speech. It's not that at all. It's an alternative look at history. Casey, what do you think? I know that you hate this topic.
Well, I hate the topic from the standpoint of why is it still a thing? Like, I support what Kyrie is doing. Absolutely. He's shutting people down. He didn't do anything wrong. I do not like that Kyrie backpedaled and apologized because he should be standing up and doing his own thing.
I agree.
But the thing that I do like about the difference between Kanye and what Kyrie is doing, Kyrie is actually doing something about it and pushing back and saying those things. What is Kanye doing? Just staying in media attention. That's all he's doing. And that's where I'm separating those two. I really am not in this whole Kanye picture anymore. Like, I don't like, if he starts acting and doing something, then cool. Kyrie is at least pushing back in the media and telling them to stay in their lane. And if you want to see how you're making change, look at what Elon Musk just did with Twitter. He's flipping it on its head right now and taking action. Yeah. And so we need to have more people taking action and doing things.
So I'm looking at his apology. I mean, I agree, like, stick to your guns. His apology, though, some might call it disingenuous. I call it actually perfectly said. He's essentially saying, if I offended you or you were affected, I'm sorry I caused you pain. I apologize. I don't think he is. I don't think he's actually saying he never once said I should not have posted it. He is just saying I'm sorry if I hurt people, which I am completely fine with that kind of statement. To be totally clear, I'm fine with that. Like, you want to say that.
Look, he didn't cause anyone pain. People are causing themselves the pain by actually giving this way too much energy.
And by him apologizing, it gives more fuel to those people that are there. He acknowledged them. They don't need to be acknowledged.
And being a Holocaust denier to me is anti-Semitic. That book, from what I understand, from what I talked with Cash, does not deny the Holocaust happened. It just merely paints a negative picture on several Jewish people, which I disagree with. Now, the last thing we'll say on this is the big argument that I had with my mom specifically is the fact that if we want to say what the devil, we've been talking about the devils in this world and why we're so divided. You look at the media and you look at companies like Disney and all these higher level elites. Is the CEOs, is the reason these companies corrupt because the CEOs are Jewish? No. But are the CEOs Jewish? Yes. The CEO of Disney, CEO of CNN, they are both Jewish, and I believe as though that goes for a couple of the other media magnates as well. But where are the problems coming from? Again, pointing out that somebody's religion happens to be Jewish, that would be like saying for the Catholics, yes, the Catholic priests abuse young boys, but let's not call them Catholics. That'll make people upset at Catholic. I mean, the sense behind not being able to say this is maybe something to look at and try to fix it and be like, maybe Jewish people, maybe Jewish elites, not Jewish people, Jewish elites, we need to take a step back, and the Jewish people need to go, this isn't necessarily our lane either. This isn't what we believe. I think that's how progress is created.
I'm having a hard time making the connection on why them being Jewish matters at all in that sense that you put it. And I don't really want to spend much time on this topic. I think everybody's into the election tonight, but so I struggle with it because I don't understand why we have to point out that they're Jewish at all. It's like pointing out that somebody is white or somebody is black. Like, what does show me how their religion and their religious beliefs and practices are tying into what they're doing. And then maybe there's a conversation, but I just don't understand why it freaking matters what their religion is or why they're being singled out and as a people, because people who are Jewish are in positions of powers and they're assholes or doing bad stuff. So what does them being Jewish have to do with any of it is my question.
Because all this, I think the fact that there's so much canceling going on proves the issue. And when 2% of our population, is it 7%, 2 or 7% of our population, 59% of Hollywood and media is run, the top of the companies are Jewish. That's a skewed statistic. And again, I'm fine never bringing it up.
I still don't get it. I still don't see why. I don't care if 100% of them were Jewish. Like, I don't understand how the religion comes. I just don't. I don't make the connection. Is all. Like, why the religion is a point.
Because it's not necessarily religion; it's also a heritage. I know it's a religion, but people like that's a background. I don't practice.
Okay. If they were Irish Catholic, would it matter? It's 100% of them are Irish Catholics. So all these Irish Catholics are bad people. And now we have to go ragging on Irish Catholic. Who cares? Like, I would
rag on Irish Catholics, but I would say, hey, the leadership is Irish Catholic. We need to start looking at what they're talking about. What they're doing. That's my opinion. And I get where you're coming from too, but I think that's the whole thing.
Scientologists, maybe. Like, there you go. Like, there's a.
There's what you just called out as, again, I disagree.
Yes, because I've seen the evidence and read the books and saw the documentaries and the interviews and stuff. And I know that is a warped up freaking cult. Right. So, but that's called out. But anyway, so here I am saying I don't want to talk about it, and I'm talking about it. But
it's good. It's good. I think it's an interesting conversation because it does go into First Amendment. Anyways, we're done with that. Stephanie Kennedy, thank you so much for this. I know some people are saying they're streaming election coverage, which we can kind of do. I would rather just let's see what's going on. You guys have the TV on. I've got other windows open. Is what's going on with results coming in right now? What are we seeing? Vermont.
Well, let's touch on the first result that came in. Guam was elected a Republican representative for the House, I think. Yeah. House delegate, the first time since 1993.
Where are we talking about? Where is
Guam?
That?
Guam. A House delegate for the first time as a Republican since 1993. So far, what I'm seeing on Twitter, Marjorie Taylor Greene is being called as winning in Georgia. I'm trying to validate it right now.
Let's see.
Because I didn't realize she was up for re-election, but I'm trying to find it.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm going to be doing an hour show tonight on it's eccentric. This should be interesting. And we can come back on later, but I'm doing a show tonight called, what is it called?
Yes, I know it's in your head now, right?
What's that?
Well, so
Stephanie,
the biggest issue, like, I don't know if a lot of you who are tuning in and watching, maybe, you didn't hear, but earlier today, I don't know, maybe around 3:00, it turned out that one of the most important and watched elections in the country is in Arizona,
Yes.
and Maricopa County, right? Which Phoenix is in Maricopa County. It's
Yeah.
the biggest county in Arizona, the most important when it comes to the election. It was the same in 2020. It's the same today, and they had 20% of their machines were not tallying votes correctly or at all. So, conspiracy theorists will run wild, but at the end of the day, like it's unacceptable, period. Like how does that even happen? How does that even, it's mind boggling to me that the most important county in Arizona is having any problem at all. It just shouldn't be happening. And so that's something, there needs to be a higher level of accountability in these polling centers, like testing. Like, how do they not test any of these machines to make sure every machine was
You
working
guys
properly?
think they didn't test it? You think this is a surprise to them? You think this
See,
is not
that's
planned?
the conspiracy
You
thought.
think-
Like,
Well, I
it
mean,
could just be human neglect. It doesn't mean that
there's no freaking way.
there's
Maricopa
malice
County,
behind
they
it.
had 2 years to get this shit together. 2 years. That's their only job.
Agreed.
And in the same place as it happened last time. Oh, look, we're the professional. This is our only job. We ran out of printer ink. Like a battery's dead.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me? Like any minute now, Georgia's going to have a water pipe problem, right? Like, come on. Like,
I'm getting the ink one. My friend of mine from Arizona, there was they're hearing their friends were going. The lines are and here's the big issue. They're getting them fixed, but you're making people wait 2 and 3 hours,
Right.
which the in-person vote swings Republican.
Right, but you're also assuming that Democrats are not also standing in line, or independents are not standing in line to vote. Like, if it was malicious, they would find a way to just target Republicans. But even though most Republicans mostly vote on election day, there's a lot of people who are Democrat and independent who also vote in election day, who are also standing in line. Like, why can't it just be fucked up human error, being irresponsible and not?
this from the guy
Well,
who doesn't believe the moon landing was real.
but there's
he's
no-
against this conspiracy.
No, but
it's
there's no proof. You have zero proof. It's all an assumption. Meanwhile, people can still take their ballot and put it in that third box that will have chain of custody, hopefully. Right now, if it doesn't,
Hopefully.
That's
an
everything is
issue.
a
But if
hypothetical.
that box goes to the center where it's going to be counted later tonight,
By whom?
fine.
Who's taking it to the center? Who's counting it? Where's the oversight?
My
What is
problem is being irresponsible enough that this even happened definitely disenfranchises voters, right? So that's the issue. Like, we shouldn't have any of these issues
and who's
across the board.
overseeing the elections in Arizona?
Well, that's the other issue. That's a problem.
What a coincidence this all is.
Sarah's in Arizona.
Right.
And so this is what she was saying and what she planned for. She is even saying it's ridiculous. Now,
Wow.
the big thing that I see with it, Barb, I 100% agree with what you're saying. And Dave, I see what you're saying. The big difference that I'm seeing here, though, Dave, to go against you, push back a little bit, the numbers, if you were to play a game and you were to try to sway an election, you would mess with where more of the Republicans are going to vote, which is going to be in person. And most of the left is going to mail it in. So it's a safer bet that if you were to mess with an in-person vote, you're going to mess with the other side more than yours. And so you are going to give yourself an advantage if you do that.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't disagree, but I just feel like over the last 2 years, we've immediately gone to, oh, the election's being stolen, it's being rigged.
If it walks
you
like a
know.
duck and it quacks like a duck. But, and fool me once, shame on me, right? Fool me twice.
Right, but eventually,
on you,
but my
shame on
point
me.
is, like, if it's
Yeah, right.
actually, if there's malice behind it, it will come out. Like, they
But
will
nothing
get
will
caught.
happen if it does. If
Uh,
they get if this goes awry tonight, as it is now, there's already a lot of doubt about this election now. People are already up in arms, and you can't blame them. It's like if somebody walks into your house and beat you once, right? And then they walk into your house a year later and they raise their hand, you think they're going to beat you again. Like
Correct,
that's
correct. But
that's
they're
it. And then if you stand there and you're like all surprised, like, oh my God, they're not going to beat
Right,
me again, you
right.
know?
But
Like-
they have, but there's attorneys there who are watching the process. That it's actually the thing has been fixed, right? So it's no longer an issue, and there's still 4 hours to vote there, and they're even talking about extending the time so people can vote if they're in line.
I
The
hope
thing
they
is, again, either way, it disenfranchises the voter, which is sad.
it gives it gives room for doubt. And why is it in the exact same places? Pennsylvania made a last second change to their law today.
No,
They made a last second change to their law today where they're allowed there because they, I guess the mail-ins, as long as
The-
it's postmarked today, they can receive it by the 14th. Like, why is it Pennsylvania, Arizona, the
Right.
major states that actually make a difference? To not think it's nefarious to me is a little bit foolhardy. You're entitled to your opinion, Dave, but I think that it is the fact that it is in the exact same place over and
Right.
over when there was already people doubting the election. You need to do everything to shore it up, to make sure things are set. And the fact that they haven't proves to me that it is nefarious. And that's just, and you know what? I hope everybody gets their vote counted. I hope that it all gets fixed, but it gives reason for doubt, especially when there's articles printed beforehand from NBC or ABC, whatever, predicting there'll be a red, what do they call it? A red
Wave?
No, not a red wave. They said it'd be a red mirage. A red
Mirage. Okay.
So this is what ABC and CNBC or NBC said. There'd be a red mirage because they said, watch what happens late. They're predicting this late switch. And yes, the people.
No, but this year is different. 2020, they said there was a red mirage, but everyone knew that the election was going to be a nail biter. Right now, everyone knows that this isn't a nail biter.
Maricopa just extended the voting hours.
That Dems are freaking out. Like, this isn't a nail biter, right? So there might be a red mirage, but it's going to actually hold. This time around, it's not the same election.
I'm curious on your guys' thoughts. Do you guys think that if we were to make Election Day a national holiday and we made everybody vote in person, that would solve quite a few of these problems?
Absolutely.
Oh, you'd hear it. That's racist. I can't believe you even just said that. That's so
Agents,
racist, Casey.
racist.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
well,
I can't. I have.
Well,
can't be
one thing to
racist.
Casey's point, like a lot of Democrats, almost all Democrats are for making Election Day a holiday.
Mhm.
It's Republicans who have in the past have had the biggest issue with it. I think it's a no-brainer. Like, why wouldn't it be? My kids had off today. I think it just coincided with a Superintendent's Day, but like, it should absolutely be a holiday.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I say that is I saw so many reports on Twitter that people left standing in line because it was taking so long, especially in Arizona, to go to work.
Yeah.
And the part that is also frustrating is by Arizona state law, you are permitted 3 hours of PTO time to go and vote. And so I think we should just make it a national holiday and everybody has to go vote in person.
Agreed.
Her kid was off and then they went to their school to vote.
Mail-in ballots should only be used when you need it, not when you want it.
Like military, active military.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
or
think it
you're
should be
away or you got stuff going on, right? But
Otherwise, get up off your ass and go to the polls and participate in an amazing historic tradition.
I agree.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, the reason why the Republicans have not always backed it is typically they didn't put it together when they had full control the first 2 years with Trump when they should have, because then they could have just made it a single ballot or a single item bill. But what I've understood is they have changed some of the voter laws when they have tried to do that. So the Democrats have said, I think that was part of their bill with the voter laws before, which is no voter ID, which is were some of the other things, the redistricting lines. They were doing their own version of red line. They were asking for too many things that were not bipartisan. And then part of it was, we want to make it a national holiday. Oh, the Republicans don't want to make it a national holiday. It's
Right.
because the bill was too fluffy, full of bullshit.
Right. And both parties are really guilty of this, and I think this is one of the things that Americans are really just sick and tired of, is this lumping in of bills. Right. Like, something as important as making Election Day a national holiday, that's a standalone issue. Like, there shouldn't be anything attached to it. Like, you either for it or you're not, and you pass it. Like, there's a lot of things that come down the pipe that should be addressed like that, and not have 100 other items and stacks of 5,000 pages attached to it.
I'm looking at
there's no reason why that bill cannot be one page. Why it has to be two. That bill can be just one page, make it a national holiday.
I think every bill should be standalone. Like, what is the reason for not? Like, are they saying it's more economical, more time efficient? But it's not, because if in theory you're reading all the bills anyway, what does it matter if it's in one pile or 20,000 piles? It's still the same amount of paper, still the same amount of emails and all that crap, right? And then and then everybody can like clearly and concisely look at it. It takes that much longer to stay on the floor and vote on this bill and that bill and that bill and that bill and that bill. Poor babies, that's what you're getting this cushy life for. That's what you're put there for, to do your freaking job. So like, make every bill standalone, and then you got no excuse. They do it on purpose so they can hide behind it. Oh, I didn't vote for this bill because I would have also done that.
Right. They're both guilty of it.
Yeah, both parties. And that's just their excuse. So accountability. That's why I think if you get more people, more actual like people, everyday citizens in office are going to look at this stuff and be like, this is just a bunch of bull. Like, who would run a business like that? Right. I'm going to give, these employees their sick days, but I have to vote against it because otherwise that means that I would have to close every Saturday as well because I can't do it. Like, who would do that? It's a bad way to run things. Just dumb. And term limits, throw in term limits while we're at. I think if somebody ran on those issues, hey guys, we're going to come in, you elect the 20 of us as a group, right? All 20 of us are standing together. We're going to come in. We're going to work together. First thing we're going to do is establish term limits. We're going to get rid of what is Mitch McConnell, as a grand poobah there. And we're going to do all these things that people want to see. I think all 20 people would get elected as a block. Just do something different like that.
So I'm going to be the unpopular opinion on this one.
No.
But I love the idea of term limits. I think it's a pipe dream. Unfortunately, our government is too broken to ever have that.
Convention of States is working toward that. Convention of States, they're getting closer.
It would have to be a monumental shift. It would have to start, to me, in my opinion, it would have to start as a executive order and then go from there. Honestly, that's my opinion, because here's what's going to happen. You're going to have some red hot Missouri senator and then some House and whatever from Florida. They're going to get in and they're going to talk. We ran on term limits, and then they're going to get in there and they're going to realize the powers that still be in the party are going to shut them up. They're
right. I've seen that. I've read up, and I forget the names, that it has been proposed before. People have put it forth and it is immediately shut down, like you said. But that's why you need a bunch of bold, courageous people to stand together in those positions.
Well, not only that. So real quick, I mean, states have propositions, right, that they attach to ballots that is basically the people straight up vote, right? So obviously Congress and Senate, they're not going to pass term limits on. They're not going to vote for that for themselves. So it should just be, they should allow I don't know if they do or not
put a proposition
right now,
forth
but
on the ballot.
Right. And just let the people directly vote for certain issues like that.
So who gets to put that on the ballot per state?
Well, the state does. Every state decides what goes on ballot.
You say the state.
Let governors decide.
What do you mean? Well, no, it's actually, so for example, it can be the legislature that puts stuff on ballots. It could be signatures that put stuff on ballots. Because, for example, Utah, who would ever thought Utah would have medical cannabis? Right? No one. And Utah got it done by signature. We got so many people to support it by having enough signatures. It put it on the ballot for the people to make the decision.
Right.
There are many avenues to put things on a ballot to be decided. Is that like, do you want me to break down every little possibility? Because every state will be different.
I think it's going to be very difficult for it to go across the board.
Well,
I
think right? You go back.
Yeah, of course it is.
You go back to Joe Biden a couple weeks ago, and he's like, if you don't support what the majority of the people support, you are radical and extreme, right? So, but majority of Americans support term limits, right? So does that make our government radical and extreme? Like,
absolutely.
It's just like my big thing when a majority of the public and our citizenry is for one issue, overwhelmingly, then that issue should be passed. Yeah. Like hands down, they need to figure out a way to make it happen.
I think the only way you'll see it happen is a state to do it once and then other states to slowly start doing it. Very similar to cannabis. Like each state is going to have to start taking control and saying, hey, there's term limits. If we elect you as a senator or a House representative of our state, you have certain terms. That I think that's the only way it's going to happen.
And we just learned we were at a Lee Zeldin rally on Sunday. Tulsi Gabbard spoke with him, which was amazing. But they talked about because who's the person campaigning running against Chuck Schumer? Jim Pinion. Really eloquent individual. I really liked him. But he mentioned Schumer's been in Washington either as a member of the House or a senator for 42 years. 42 years.
Crazy.
It's disgusting.
Come on, man. And it's mind-boggling to me that people just continue to vote for the man like over and over and over again. And like, I think maybe on the ballot, it should tell you, they should, right next to their name, it should tell you how long they've been in freaking Congress in DC for. Maybe that's what needs to be done.
It should also have all of their sponsors listed next to their name.
Yeah.
It looks
Carly,
like
Zeldin wins tonight. Then you'll see some changes you'll see some reinstating and back pay done. So let's hope that Zeldin wins.
I can't. Zeldin's got a real shot. Like, I mean, everything that I've seen, all the new polls, like Zeldin really does have a shot in New York, and I think that's a sentiment for the whole country. And right now, I'm looking at as the results that come in, it's a lot of toss-ups. I mean, Warnock and Herschel Walker, it looks like Warnock's got a comfortable lead, but because of the counties that have not been counted that are more red, they can't call it yet. But I mean, it's a 19-point spread with 11% in. Scott, it looks like has won. No, has not won. Never mind. They're way low in Vermont in terms of reporting. Virginia, I saw something on here that North Carolina is not looking good for Senate. I saw that pass by a second ago. Again, they've not called it because of the amount in. DeSantis is up 55-44 with almost 60% reporting. Rubio is up 53.5.
DeSantis won Miami-Dade. He's up by nine points, which is like historic.
Did they say he won Miami-Dade? Is that what they said? That in?
He's leading by 8 points with 66% of the vote.
See, I did a show with a guy from Miami, and he was saying that there's I think there's a House position in Miami-Dade that they are looking to possibly turn Republican, which would be the first time in forever.
I'll say it again, and I've been screaming it to all my friends for months and months now that everybody is underestimating how big of a wave this is going to be. Like, I believe it's going to be earth-shattering. When it's all said and done, people are going to be shocked and a lot of liberal tears. I think everyone's underestimating, I think all these races that are 1 or 2 points and they're like either way, I think they're all really Republican.
Assuming it's done properly.
I'm with you. Minnesota's polls have not closed yet.
Yeah, it's too early for Minnesota.
And guys, if you guys want to, we can come on. We'll come on later. I've just got the one show from 11 to midnight. So if we want to do like an earlier one, like a 9 o'clock, more of like a status update for 30 minutes, we can always go live then if you want.
Anyone who's watching in the comments, let us know what your number one issue is that you voted for this midterm cycle.
Yeah, I asked for it. Nobody brought it. Maybe they'll listen.
Yeah, well, I just remind them again.
What's your
In one county in Pennsylvania, a paper shortage. There was a paper shortage. They ran out of paper. Nope, not enough paper. So they've extended voting for 2 hours under an emergency court order.
That's a typo. They ran out of toilet paper.
Yeah.
Right.
There were some counties in Texas that happened too as well. I saw, which were very red counties.
Ran out of paper. Come on.
What was I going to ask you?
The thing that's ridiculous is any state like running out of paper, like what you're implying, Barb, is you know how many registered voters you have. You know how many in each area.
Exactly that.
And it's a simple math equation. You know how much you're going to need to prepare for.
Right.
There's no reason to run out of pens, paper, anything.
Seriously, are you fucking kidding me? And so now it said because people were complaining that they couldn't stay there and wait for more paper to arrive, they had to get back to work. So
Here's-
that's why they extended it so people could come back after work.
Here's a good one from CNN's John King. He does a lot of the election boards and stuff at CNN. Stay off social media. Trust your local officials and trust us here at CNN.
Oh yeah.
Trust the experts.
Yeah.
Worst
Yeah.
line ever. So Stacey is right because with the paper shortage, as much as it's stupid and ridiculous, voter turnout, yes, how many registered voters. However, a lot of them can go to different locations. A lot of them can go to a different precinct. You can't in Texas. I can go to. I have a choice of 7 different places I can go to.
That is in every state. That is not every state.
Oh, Texas.
Utah just changed that law this year to where you can actually vote it in a lot of regions. So again, this is one of my biggest problems, but I don't want to ask federal government for oversight of the elections, so I just leave it alone. But every state operates differently. And so some states you can't travel outside of your county or certain places to vote. You have to go to certain places. Some are much more free, like what you're describing. But the thing is it's still a numbers thing. You can still do the math and come up with how much paper you're going to need, how many pens you would need. That is all capable of being done ahead of time. There is no excuse for it.
So right now we've got people are saying right to bear arms is there to keep their arms in Iowa. Somebody said Barb is hysterical. I think that's what they're voting on. Just kidding. Bail reform and the economy. Agree with everything that Barb is saying. My number one issues are border security, constitutional rights and freedoms, America being energy independent. Let's see the border issue. Let's see Kalamazoo County. You can only vote in one designated place there. See, those are the places that should not run out of paper, to be very clear, or ink. Let's see what else we got. Iowa, you have to vote at a certain place. Let's see. The other so question for the New Yorkers. So one of the bigger races, take away Lee Zeldin right now, one of the bigger races to show if New York is changing and also the look of the government as a whole is the Maloney Lawler District 17. That's not that you don't get to vote in that, do you?
It's the other side of the river.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a big barometer of where our votes are going.
Yeah, he's the guy who said that, if inflation's so bad and you can't put gas in your tank that you should eat Chef Boyardee.
Right.
Yeah.
Big one.
Yep.
And buy generic cereal, like Biden said.
Right.
Yeah. These people. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Can you guys all right, before we're going to wrap in the next 10 minutes or so.
Wait, one thing. Anyone know how Liz Cheney's doing tonight?
Ah!
Oh, wait.
She's prepping for her presidential run to undermine the Republicans. I think she's already done enough where she can't run as a Republican. So she's, I think.
Tracy Gordon says crime is the biggest issue. Definitely. I think this is the first time in a couple of decades that crime was actually like in the top 3 and was getting double-digit support in terms of being such a big issue.
Let's have a real debate on this one, real conversation, because somebody posted it. I did a little bit of research. What do you say to the people that use the line? I love that Republicans continue to talk about crime when it's the red states that have the highest levels of violent crime and murder in this country.
That's in the cities, and the cities are typically run by Democrats.
Okay.
So
and I agree with you. I'm going to keep playing devil's advocate. So what if they say, yes, but there's still leadership from the governors, and these are the states that voted, either from a governor perspective or from a president. How do they not correct the rest of the state? First,
I would ask, what states are you talking about?
So I actually thought it was a bunch of load of bullshit, which it is because it's manipulation of information.
Yeah.
Where'd I have it up? Hold on, let me try.
And still, it doesn't really there's a separation of power. Different counties here have different things. We had some county executives here declare themselves sanctuary counties where they just said, fuck you, we're not doing any of these mandates, and they just told Cuomo, sorry, like we're not doing this. Like, stop calling, talk to the hand, right? And the county executive was able to supersede the governor's authority there because they said, no, we're not doing it. But most of the county executives caved and said, sure, we'll do it. But same thing, like governors and mayors of cities can do the same thing. Like they have that ability to supersede that authority in a lot of instances. And so they're going to run the ship the way that they want to run the ship.
But let's just take 3 states. I mean, Illinois, right? Second biggest, third biggest city in the country in Chicago. Illinois is run by a Democratic governor. Chicago is run by a Democratic mayor. 50 people have been getting killed every single weekend for the last 4 years. Look at New York City. Mayor is Democrat. State is Kathy Hochul, Cuomo before him. Crime is up. Rape is up. Murder is up. Go to California. Name all the cities in California. San Francisco, freaking LA, all run by a Democratic governor.
Which you're right on.
Crime, homelessness is all off the board. Literally, Hollywood is voting for a Republican mayor of LA right now,
who's running as a Democrat, but yeah, he's a Republican. So, question, including Katy Perry, by the way. So that's what I thought. So here is actually the most current statistic, because I feel as though what people go on is actually the 2008 saying who voted for Obama and who voted for McCain, and they did the states on who had the highest crime rates. Even in 2020, top 10 murder rates in the United States, 8 of the 10 of them were states that were red. And again, I know it's because of poorly run Democrat cities in those states, but the top 10 murder rates in the United States per capita for the states were number 1, Mississippi, number 2, Louisiana, number 3, Kentucky, number 4, Alabama, number 5, Missouri, number 6, South Carolina, all Republican. And then New Mexico, Georgia, Democrat, and then Arkansas, Tennessee, Republican. I find that a weird statistic.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm looking at some results coming in.
I'm trying to that is weird to me hearing it. This is the first time hearing those states like that, but I would have to dive into more before I have much to say.
But it's still crime across the board. Like, you get most of the publicity from these bigger cities and bigger states: New York City, Chicago, LA, San Francisco, right? And that becomes a sounding board for the rest of the country. And when you have rhetoric like defund the police and you have inflation high, all these cities the crime's going to rise because of all the policies that are being put forth, and cashless bail and all that. It's like a cyclical, like compound domino effect that's happening.
And then you have, I'm guessing I would put
that would be my answer,
that in the cities that are red run, those police officers are actually making arrests, and therefore the numbers are going up, right? The blue run cities, they're not allowed to arrest anyone. They just have to sit back and watch it happen, or they just give up because within hours of them, before the paperwork's even done, the asshole they just arrested is back on the streets, like walking past them. Policy. So no chase policy. So more likely they're making more arrests in the red run cities.
I was going to say that as well. I agree with that statement. I think they're getting more arrests. I think that's a big issue with the statistic. But again, it boils down to the major cities. The fact that Illinois isn't on there out of the top 10 is mind-boggling to me, because Chicago has so many. And it's also condensed.
But it would be it would be probably for a murder rate, right?
It's not.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. What is the definition of crime that they're actually?
So I'm looking at murder. I'm looking at murder rates based on publicly available state crime reports and local news sources. This is what I got from, again, this could be, everything we know is imperfect. This is the first statistic I pulled up, and it's per capita murder rates. So it is murder, but somebody's saying Missouri, you're forgetting about St. Louis. I'm from
Ferguson, right?
And well, Ferguson's not that bad.
And when is that data from?
It just says, let's see. It just says calculations of publicly
1970.
It's 2020. It's actually 2022 murder rates and how they voted in 2020. This article is, again, it's an Inside Edition article, but it is based. They have data backing it.
To go along a little bit of what Barb was saying, the thing that's interesting when you say that like they're arrested but let go. we kind of have that problem here in Utah, and that's our district attorney. He gives everybody way too much rope. Like we don't hold people accountable. And that's probably what's happening in those states is the district attorney is not really holding anybody accountable to those things.
Yeah. No, I get it. But I mean, I agree. I think we all agree that it's not a red issue. It's the fact that the local leadership in the inner cities is predominantly Democrat, which would be, we'll see what happened with change. Problem is it changes and the policing gets more strict and more forceful. And then all of a sudden the media goes, no, we don't like this. That's racist. And then it becomes a whole nother bowl of issues. Yeah, Nikki's right on that. That's another stat. I just think it's interesting. It's an interesting conversation piece because I respectfully disagree with it. But if you manipulate the data the right way, it's going to point in that direction.
Right.
Any other election? Let's see. Where were any news while I've not been looking?
No, I think they called Tim Scott, or they're predicting Tim.
Yeah, they already called.
Yeah. I
Not
think
me
it's
too.
I think we'll another hour or two. We'll start to see some serious headway on what's happening.
Walker, I want to see what was the difference between Warnock and Walker and Kemp. It looked like Kemp was much closer at this point, which means there is some. That's one thing to look at because we're trying to see if Kemp was going to bring Walker across the line in Georgia.
Right now, what I'm seeing, Abrams 52, Kemp 46, 19% of the vote in per this where I'm at on the site right now.
Right. And then I think it was like 56-40. So that shows still a 4-point.
Well, as of today, I saw the generic ballot. Republicans are like +4 or 5. Exit polls all show the Republican talking points in terms of economy, inflation, energy, and crime, which really points to a bloodbath tonight. So,
wow. Warnock's 58%, almost 57.8, and Walker is at 40.7.
So that shows an 8, and these are all, it's the same districts that have reported those 19%. So it's showing that there's still a pretty drastic difference in those between for Herschel Walker and for Kemp. Last question. This is one of the things I talked about on the radio today, and we'll wrap it up. So one of it was the thing that they wanted to know is about negative campaign ads. Why is it that we always see as negative campaign ads? Do they work? And why is that what is always part of the election cycle?
that's a good question.
It's entertainment. That's what people want. They want more of. That's what they're drawn to. We've seen it ourselves when we do shows or posts on positive things. A lot of those don't get traction, but we post something traumatic or terrible or crime or angry, and people just take it and run with it. Like that's just the way that people are programmed, I guess. Unfortunately, they react to the negative and the anger. You hit them on their emotion, right? That people get charged up, and then they have all the stress in their own lives, and they're able to project it right there onto the angry ad, and off they go.
Audience, just a heads up, we did just rewind when we're done. We talked about that a bunch earlier.
It's the same reason why fear sells, right? Like,
and why true crime stories and serial killer stories are popular. It's just human nature. Why people slow down to look at a car accident and
turn the radio down to focus on driving when they're trying to find something.
Do you think anybody could ever win? I do that. If I need to find something, the radio is off. I think
someone could win by having an all positive campaign, but I think the issue is that the campaign itself isn't the only one running these ads.
Right.
Like I think a campaign person, like if I was to run for office, I would want my campaign to be strictly positive. I wouldn't do any attack ads. I would just be focused on my message, what I bring to the table, and try to be as positive as possible. But I can't control the super PACs and all those other people that are posting ads that are definitely going to be negative. I'd like to see some more positivity. I like to see candidates talk more about the issues, and not even the issues, like what they're going to do, what they're about, what their values are. To me, that's more important.
Which I have seen Lee Zeldin doing consistently.
Yes.
And Allison Esposito. I have seen them doing that consistently for many, many moons now.
Yeah, I think it's kind of, I use the reference of Roger Bannister running the 4-minute mile. I don't think at this point it's going to be done until somebody goes out on a limb and does a predominantly, if not 95 to 100% clean campaign and just talks about issues and why they're the best person for the job and avoiding the digs on the other side. Until that happens and they prove that they can win, I think that's why people have avoided it so much. And like you said, the super PAC. So there was an article in the Dallas Morning News. There's a LLC called Could Have Been Worse. It is a super PAC. It draws its name from the comment that Abbott made at Uvalde regarding the Uvalde school massacre. They have they have spent $25 million on attack ads, and there's not a single person named in the LLC. They've opposed the Texas Republicans, Abbott. They've done the media tracking from the firm Ad Impact. So they formed in late August, and they have not revealed a single donor or leadership, but they have put $25 million into really, really negative campaign ads. So it's tough. It's tough to have a clean election in this country. That's the
I have a question, and I brought this up to Barb a couple days ago. While we're riding in the truck. How could you be a candidate running for Senate or Congress and not debate? I think that should be a prerequisite. It should be law. If if you're running for senator, you get the nomination, you have to debate at least 2 debates. And one of those debates has to happen before early voting or mail-in ballot voting. So everyone gets to see the debate. The other debate can happen whenever, but how are these people like Katie Hobbs? How do you run for governor and not debate your opponent once? How is that even allowed? That doesn't serve the people.
No, I'm spot on. I couldn't agree more. I think you need to. Here's the thing: if the job didn't require talking to other people, cool. But fact is, you have to actually be able to talk to other people. This isn't you're not a stenographer. I think it's important. So I'm with the. I agree.
I have a question for all of you.
Yeah.
If Republicans win the House, they win the Senate, what does Joe Biden do the next 2 years? How does he govern? More of the same, or is he going to reach out?
I suspect the 25th Amendment might be pulled, and you'll have Kamala Harris running the country.
Ooh. Okay, what does she do? Will she work with
Republicans? She'll just try to veto everything and bully people. That's all she's done her whole life. Between that and be a whore.
Oh my God, Kamala.
I did, Barb. I think a 25th Amendment is very possible. I think,
or he'll be impeached,
or impeached. Impeach is a possibility. I think Joe Biden is going to be the politician he's been his whole career and shuck and jive everything that he needs to do, and he'll become a hugely moderate president. To be honest, I think he'll get bullied by the Republicans because Kamala won't. So they're going to find a way to work with Joe before they do the 25th Amendment. Is the 25th Amendment possible? Is an impeachment possible? Maybe. More than maybe, but I think that they're going to be able to push around Joe Biden more than they can push around Kamala. So that, my thing.
Stupid though. She's stupid. Let her go sit on a yellow school bus somewhere and talk about that, right? And tell her that she's doing great things on yellow school bus. She's so dumb.
Who's more dangerous? A stupid person that knows they're stupid,
right?
Or a stupid person that thinks they're smart?
Well, someone brought up a good point. Kevin McCarthy he has the Commitment to America, right? The plan that the House, the Republicans will put forth if they win the House and Senate. So why not take that plan, the Commitment to America, and go, hey, Joe, what are you willing to do here out of these 100 items, right? Let's work together on something that we see. And that's how, that's how it should go most of the time, but it doesn't. I personally think I think he'll be mostly lame duck, like someone said, Amy Young, but I think there'll be a few things that he'll work together and reach across the aisle on.
The Democrats don't want Kamala in. They don't.
No.
Because Kamala being president will automatically ensure, which is another reason maybe they will 25th Amendment, that will ensure a Republican president in 2024. So they don't want her in. Nobody really does, but I think that's why this is such a big deal. getting the Senate and the House is we take over this, we're in great shape. They just called Rubio for the win in which was already expected, but Rubio just won in Florida. All right. Last words. We might come back later. If you guys have had too many glasses of wine, I'll probably pop on either way. I've got the radio show tonight at 11, but let's do final words and anything else since we earned it. You know, we got 50 people still watching about Great American Syndicate and stuff like that.
Oh. No, you go ahead. I don't know. I'm not in that
Well,
zone. Go ahead.
I think this is a political, cultural shift that we're witnessing in this country, and I think it's going to continue to go be more conservative and more Republican. I think Republican parties become the party of the middle class, blue collar workers. It's become very diverse, and if you want proof of that, look at the candidates that they put up across the whole country, from Latinos, from the Black community. I think it's becoming what the Democratic Party used to be proudly, used to be their flag in the ground.
Yes, about the syndicate.
So that's my last thoughts on it.
Final words too.
Yeah.
Oh,
question was
and
about
wait.
the syndicate.
No, it was Barb. You need to work
Last
on your
words.
listening.
Okay.
Barb, I would totally do this if it wasn't for Dave on there. So no, I said final words and then talk about the syndicate. But before we do that, we haven't had our picks. They just called it for DeSantis, it looks like, as well. Picks in terms of what do you think the split is? Casey already said his earlier. We'll have him say it again. What do you think it's going to be? It's out of 435. So I've got 233 to 202 and then 5149 all red. What do you got, Dave and Barb?
I don't know. I am not well versed enough or up on that to put numbers out there. So I'm just not even gonna better to remain silent and seem stupid than to speak and remove all doubt, right? So I don't know. I don't know the numbers and how they're gonna play out. I just don't know. I think I'm a little jaded, and I think that we're gonna be looking at a lot of races for another week or so.
Do you think it's going to be a full red? Do you think they're both going to be red, or do you think it'll go red, blue, or what's?
I think we'll get them both. But it's going to be ugly.
Okay. All right. What do you got, Dave?
I think House Republicans will pick up 35 to 40 seats, maybe more. Could go as high as 50. And I think we're going to win 55, 56 in the Senate. And I wouldn't be surprised if it might even be higher than that.
I think the only time I will hang on Hochul's every word is tonight when she gives a concession speech.
Oh,
I'm going to savor that. And then I never want to see or hear from her ever fucking again.
All right. Now, Dave, where can people find the syndicate and all that good stuff?
So we're having our annual event June 2nd and 3rd in Dallas, Texas at Gullies. It's an awesome venue. If you missed last year's event, you really missed out. A ton of awesome testimonials on it. It was an amazing event. You should go back and see Anthony's post that he made earlier today about the event and being a Patriot Pass holder and the amazing speakers that we had at that event. With that being said, we do have a community called the Great American Syndicate where you can come in and be a member. And as a member, you get to attend the Great American Summit every year. As long as you're an active member, you can either virtually online or you could be there in person. And right now we're offering a lifetime membership to the syndicate and to the event. And we're giving you a welcome. We're calling it a Patriot box with a lot of cool goodies in it. T-shirt, custom print from speed painter Tom Verano, a couple of books, a lot of nooks and crannies, all inside a box, including your 2 tickets to the summit. So if you'd like to be a founding member of our Great American Syndicate, you can just go to greatamericansyndicate.com/join gas. And we would love to see you inside. We're building a community, building a family of like-minded patriots. And we'd love to see you inside.
Love it. Casey, final words. What do you got?
Watch for the red wave. I see it happening. And that's where Dave and I are a little bit aligned. I see that it's going to come out pretty strong. Now, some of the states might not be super quick in results, like PA. They already set the stage that it's going to take a week. But if you elect Feder Woman as to represent your state, you deserve that individual.
Yeah. I'm so optimistic about it and hopeful because I think
This is so unusual for him, by the way.
I think it's really important that
Specifically, like, the
that there
biggest-
literally is a tsunami
He's so excited.
where the other side literally has to take a pause. They have to reflect. They have to assess, and they might have to actually admit, right, that all the policies that they've put in place over the last 4 years, the lies, the Russian collusion, the lockdowns, the mandates, the shaming, all of it, they have to question it and see that the will of the people actually spoke.
Absolutely. Casey, I think you said two what? What was your numbers?
It's 235, 200.
235, 200, and then 55, 45.
Yes.
All right. To wrap it up, guys, I know it looks like DeSantis is about to give his
Yeah, I
acceptance.
kind of want to watch that.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. So I'm going to wrap it up, guys, really quick. If you want to support some of our stuff, if you owned a business, know anybody, I've seen a bunch of you guys actually click on this. So go to ERC BTC for employee retention credits. If you have any business or know of somebody or want to actually share it with people, guess what? It's free. It is literally nothing to apply for it. It's just a way to get potentially $26,000 per employee. You actually will see some of these commercials from different companies doing this on TV. We already talked about the Great American Syndicate, Awake Not Woke gear. We've got the big government shirt that Casey is wearing, Awake Not Woke hat. I've got the Awake hat. Make sure you check that out. You can get some of the Great American Syndicate gear on their website, but go to awakenotwokestore.com, awake for 15% off. And lastly, where is it? I've got, by the way, the Brooklyn Patriot will be the blunt force discussion this weekend. Again, that's Brooklyn Patriot. He's got a huge following on Instagram, real fun conversation. And lastly, I cannot find the last thing I wanted to put up there. 5, 4. Oh, there it is. TheDrArtistShow.com, BFD at checkout. I know you guys actually do buy those quite a bit, so make sure you go there. He has been out of stock on a lot of stuff. He'll be back in stock this week. Last but not least, 233, 202, 5149. And you might see me a little bit later tonight. And if you want to watch or if you want to listen to the streaming radio show that I'm on, it is called Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis. I will be on at 9 to 10, so 11 to midnight Central Time. If you're up, I'll catch you guys there.
Nice.
Have a great evening. See y'all later. God bless, and let's hope for that red frickin' wave.
Night, kids.
Deuces.
Deuces. All right.